What's crack? Big dogs. Welcome, Bike, to the channel. Welcome, Bike, to the headquarters. You know the top of these bubbly cans say, hey, you? I feel like I say that every week. But I just wanted to say, hey, you. Welcome, Bike, to the channel. My name is Nicholas. This is BDGE. Big Dogs Gotta Eat. Everything, as always, presented by Underdog Fantasy. We're going to be making some pick'em, some over-under player games for tonight's Monday night foosball. Ain't it like it's kind of a beautiful thing when you just get your ass kicked in fantasy football in the I think everyone has like one league, maybe two leagues they really care about. But when you have one league you really care about and you get your actual ass stomped in by some Timberlands, and then you don't really have to worry about Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, it's kind of it's like a catch-22, but it's kind of a beautiful thing. That happened to me this week. And we're going to recap everything week 4, fantasy football, NFL related. We'll jump into the comments in the chat afterwards. But for right now, please do not be sending me super chats and then get mad after the fact that you do it and I don't answer your sit start question for the evening. I'm letting you know up front because I'm in the middle of trying to present. I'm live on television and you guys are throwing zingers at me left and right. I can't concentrate on everything. I still have extreme brain fog from the COVID-19. But big news in that category, the taste is coming, Bike. Finally tasted something last night. It was ass. I tasted ass last night. Not a pleasant palate pleaser to taste as the first thing that you come back from COVID with. I'm just kidding. I didn't taste ass last night. We're not having sex until marriage. We are chopping up. All right, so the software I'm using right now, StreamYard, has been down all morning. Maybe they're owned by Facebook because I think Facebook and Instagram and every platform underneath the sun has not really been working this morning either. So we'll try to get through this. As always, we're going to go game by game, recap everything that happened last week, talk about some of the top waiver wire pickups of this week to get you ahead of the game. We're doing a little bit of a giveaway. I don't know what we're going to end up giving away. Oh, I do actually know. Never mind. At any time, you could text me. Jersey to 646-328-6601 for a chance to win a signed Honus Wagner baseball card. This is the $10 billion Honus Wagner baseball card. Facts, not opinion. Text that number with that sentence, or that statement, that word, Jersey, and you'll be automatically entered. We're going to pick something to give away to you guys, a signed piece of memorabilia. All right? How do I keep that on the bottom? Let's see. Banners, hide current banner, brand. Let's see. We can do a little bubbly. Can we keep it minimal? Yeah, that's beautiful right there. That is beautiful. All right, let's jump into the games. Actually, should we talk about injuries first, or should we just go game by game? Let's talk about injuries first, and then actually we'll just go game by game. And as the injuries occurred, we will talk about them. So let's split the screen here. Let's get my fucking stupid ass looking face off the screen, and let's jump into this shit. How we doing, everybody? Make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribio if you're new. We had Thursday Night Football, Jacksonville versus Cincinnati. I could already tell this is just going to be an absolute shit show of a stream. This thing is working slower than my fucking brain is right now. Jaguars versus Bengals. Okay, so we had finally a nice, wasn't really a great outing from Trevor Lawrence, but James Robinson popped off, did his thing. The other thing that we need to talk about when it comes to Jacksonville's passing group and receiving group is DJ Chark is going to be got put on the IR with a serious ankle injury. Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, hey, Laviska Shenault season, right? I want to caution you. I want to caution you about Laviska Shenault's big game. One, he had a broken coverage, big play that took up like 60% of his production in this game. Laviska Shenault, believe it or not, Laviska Shenault had a season low in snaps in this game. Played 42 snaps. That was a season low. His role did not change whatsoever. He was still the slot guy in this Jacksonville offense once DJ Chark went down. Tavon Austin came in and played the X role and played DJ Chark's role on this offense, okay? So Laviska Shenault's role is still exactly the same. In terms of his involvement in production, maybe that goes up a little bit. Marvin Jones, extremely disappointing day, despite DJ Chark being sidelined for most of the game. Marvin Jones and Laviska, you can fire up as wide receiver threes. I'm not going crazy for Laviska Shenault. Still the same exact player, still the same exact role. Their offense up to this point, the schedule has been just unbelievably easy for the most part. The first half of the season, like if they're not getting it done now, they're never going to get it done. Because if you look at the games that they've played so far, this shit is like, it's cookies and cream here. Houston, Denver's tough, obviously, but Arizona, Cincinnati, they get Tennessee, which is like a college defense at this point. Miami, Seattle, like, bruh. If there's ever going to be games to play guys like Viska, it is the next couple weeks. I feel okay about Viska. I feel pretty good about Marvin Jones against Tennessee next week. But DJ Chark is out for the year. Take that as it may. On the other side of things, we have fucking average Joe Mixon over here doing his best 2 yards per carry. They just continue to slam him into the back of the offensive line. I'm almost happy he got hurt so I don't have to fucking put him into my lineup anymore. The injury with Joe Mixon, they just keep throwing around high ankle sprain, below severity of a low ankle sprain. I'm like, all right, just fucking enough with the bullshit, enough with the nonsense. What do we have here? Supposedly, it is a high ankle sprain of the very low severity, which is, from what I've read, fortunate, okay? He is week to week. That should tell you about all you need to know. If it was a low ankle sprain, he'd be day to day, and he would probably be fine for this upcoming week. He is week to week, which should automatically set off alarms and triggers in your brain to tell you that any optimism about his injury is probably nonsense this early. If they're already going off the bandwagon and saying, you know, they're off the fucking reservation and saying it's week to week, we are about 24 hours into this fucking injury. He's got 10 days to recover for week 5. Right now, I would be very surprised if he suited up for week 5. Okay. And we see Samaje Perine as the RB2 here. I have absolutely no fucking confidence in starting a guy like Samaje Perine in my lineup. Maybe you could put him in as a flex play. I think Chris Evans, the talented rookie out of Michigan, gets involved as well and eats into some of Samaje Perine's passing work. I think Chris Evans is a pretty good pass catcher. And Perine's basically just going to take that 16 carry, 2 yard per carry role that Joe Mixon has this year. He got lucky with the touchdown because Joe Burrow got called down at the 1 yard line. Joe Mixon did. Otherwise, you keep firing up Tyler Boyd. You keep firing up Jamar Chase as T. Higgins continues to miss time. When T. Higgins is back in the lineup, you put him back in your lineup. CJ Uzomah is actually this is a week where there's actually a lot of really interesting tight ends on the waiver wire. And that's never usually the case. But there's probably 4 or 5 that I could think of off the top of my head that I think are really, really legitimate waiver wire targets if you're in tight end premium leagues. And tomorrow's videos will be the running back and wide receiver waiver wire target video. So I'll go more in depth on that. But CJ Uzomah looks like the real deal in this offense. Looks like a really, really solid chemistry starting to blossom between Uzomah and Joe Burrow. So we're going to want to keep an eye on that, especially with Joe Mixon out. And with Joe Mixon out, I highly doubt they start to revert back to what they've been doing in the beginning of this year, which is just going carry, and then asking Burrow to throw it when they absolutely need to. But they got a nice matchup against the Packers. They got a nice matchup against the Lions. So it's pretty much, I'm not going to say all systems go, but a lot of the systems are being turned on, and we have the green light for the Cincinnati passing offense right now. Joe Burrow's still not running the ball at all, which is kind of annoying. All right, we have Washington, we have Atlanta, and like fucking dude, Matt Ryan finally had a good game, but like that play where Matt Ryan went down on his knee and threw the ball, as a Falcons fan, was arguably the most embarrassing shit our franchise has ever dealt with. And we were up 28-3 in the Super Bowl when we lost. That was fucking cringeworthy. That was like, I was like, yo, you should just take a knee for the rest of your life after that play. Just stay on that knee that you have there and don't come back up. That shit was just franchise-altering embarrassing. What else can we say about this Falcons offense, though? Ridley and Pitts are just not getting it done. You know, Pitts was not a guy we wanted to invest in. Ridley certainly was. 7 for 80 is great, but he's just not scoring any touchdowns. How can you when Cordarrelle Patterson is just absolutely fucking goating week in and week out? Shout out to FB God, because on our first waiver wire in-depth article that we only put up on the website for members, Cordarrelle Patterson was our #1 waiver wire target. Who else fucking putting that shit up there? Nobody. And Cordarrelle Patterson is like a weak winner I had a league, the Go Fade Me Dynasty League, where Cordarrelle and Tyreek Hill were both in my lineup. And I fucking smacked the shit out of Snacks. Needed it because the rest of my leagues didn't go well. So you continue to put out Cordarrelle Patterson. This is a team that needs offensive playmakers, and he is absolutely one of them. So you continue to throw him out into your wide receiver role, running back role, wherever the fuck you need to put him into your lineup, you get him in there. Antonio Gibson, semi-dealing with some kind of injury, I believe, but like not really. He came into the week with like some kind of shin injury, but it was fucking nonsense. It didn't end up really playing a factor. He did end up like getting banged up again at the end of the game, but I haven't heard anything new about Antonio Gibson. So for right now, we're not going to worry about him. We're more worried about his role in the offense with J.D. McKissic being a fucking thing. And this was something I said last week, 2 weeks ago, something we said in the summer, right? You're drafting him hoping that for some reason, despite the preseason. Yeah. Can we also like circle back to preseason again about how y'all said this, like everything I said about preseason, it doesn't matter. This is fucking Miles Sanders not going to be in a committee. Myles Gaskin not going to be in a committee. If you look at the fucking preseason usage, they were in committees. And guess what? They're stuck in fucking committees again. Antonio Gibson was not used on third downs, was not used in passing situations in the preseason because they show you how they want to use their starters in the first team usage. And guess what fucking happens? We're 3 weeks into the regular season and it's all happening. It's all fucking happening. All right. JD McKissic is a problem in 2-minute drills. He's a problem in the passing game because he's really good in the passing game. Okay. Terry McLaurin, also really good. A couple other takeaways here. Curtis Samuel had his first game back. Played terribly, but he's overtaking De'Ami Brown as a 2, of course. Logan Thomas hurts himself, pulls his hamstring, and is ruled out very quickly, which tells me he's probably not going to play in week 5. Now, this is important for a couple reasons, because Curtis Samuel's probably available on your waiver wire, so he's going to get more involved. But number 2, another tight end to pick up off the waiver wire is Ricky Seals-Jones. Ricky Seals-Jones played on the second most snaps on the team. Only Terry McLaurin played on more snaps than Ricky Seals-Jones. Ricky Seals-Jones ran 31 routes yesterday, which was top among tight ends in the NFL. Okay? So Ricky Seals-Jones is going to be an every down player if Logan Thomas misses times. Ricky Seals-Jones is very athletic, used to play wide receiver. He is a waiver wire target if you are really, really, really hurting at the tight end position. Okay, so no real other takeaways from this game. Let's wait, hold on. I actually want to put something to the test right now. Someone told me that you had a boyfriend that looked like a boyfriend. I had something about fucking January. That if you click the little button in the middle of your mouse, it automatically opens up something. And oh, did you guys see that? Oh my God. I no longer need to do right click, open a new tab. If you click the little scroll button in the middle of your mouse, it automatically opens these up in a new tab. This is fucking game changing. This is huge for the program. This is huge for the pierogi. Let's fucking just click this for every game. This is massive. This might be the best day of my life. All right, versus the Bills. This was a good game, huh? This was fun. Buffalo must be going nuts. I wonder what was crazier, the parking lot before the game or the parking lot in the third fucking quarter. 40-0. The spread was 17 points, and nobody felt comfortable taking Houston in this one. 4 interceptions for Davis Mills. Not bad. Impressive. As per usual, you cannot start anybody on Houston. Brandon Cooks has the best day of any pass catcher, but this is my worry about starting him in one of my leagues, the fact that any given moment, Davis Mills can go for 87 yards and 4 interceptions. That's going to be the case going forward. This Buffalo Bills defense looks like the real fucking deal. They are really, really good. On the running back side of things, this is exactly how we kind of saw it play out. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss are very much in a committee. Zach Moss is going to continue to get the valuable touches here, and those are the ones on the goal line. So he came away with a touchdown. Again, he could probably be used in the flex for you. Josh Allen does his thing as per usual. The wide receiver side of things, listen, we're going to continue to ask the same questions. What do we do with Cole Beasley? What do we do with like Tyler Lockett? They're all in the same fucking range. Like you drafted them, you picked them up knowing what you're getting. You're not getting every week consistency out of them, but you throw them into your lineup, and the games that that they do well, they have a really high ceiling for. Diggs continues to not find the end zone, but I would send out offers for Diggs, man. Those days are coming. Don't worry. Josh Allen's 3-4 passing touchdown days are coming, and to Diggs, they are absolutely coming. Emmanuel Sanders, you can continue to roll out with confidence. Dawson Knox, another fucking tight end that should be scooped up off your waiver wire. He's a super athletic guy. This is what's funny about a guy like Dawson Knox. Like when he came in the league 2-3 years ago, he was a guy I was trying to get in dynasty everywhere. And you just have to sit on a guy like that because he's raw. And he was playing behind AJ Brown and DK Metcalf and all these guys at Ole Miss. And he was like the guy who didn't put up production because he was playing behind those guys. And now you're slowly starting to see these guys kind of leak out as real NFL players. So Dawson Knox is another target on the waiver wire if you are desperate need for tight end. He now has 4 touchdowns, I believe, over the last 3 weeks. He had 8 targets in this one. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's athletic. He's a playmaker. Really like Dawson Knox. What else can we talk about here? We've got the Bears and the Lions, and obviously the biggest news of the week comes on the Bears side of the things, and that is Cole Kmet seeing 3 targets. Sorry, wasn't funny at all. Let's see. David Montgomery gets hurt. Supposedly, so what we're working with right now in terms of the David Montgomery injury and the news that we have from the Chicago Bears bike field is this. David Montgomery is dealing with some sort of knee injury. I believe they completely ruled out ACL, which is good news. I believe they think it is a knee sprain, which is like an MCL sprain. The good part about this is MCL sprains are basically like the least worry. Now it might extend to a multi-week absence, but MCL sprains tend to be like the least worrisome injuries for the running back position and just offensive positions like going forward. They do not linger for the most part. Their rest recovery time is usually not that high unless it ends up being like a grade 2. And it's believed not to be too serious. So it's probably a grade 1. We see a lot of players deal with MCL sprains, come back in a week or 2, and it doesn't linger, it doesn't come back. So that's good for David Montgomery owners right now, unless it's a grade 2. That's what like Nick Chubb dealt with last year. But all reports are saying that it's not too serious. Damian Williams, who came in and was like an every down player, basically suffered a thigh bruise, which is also not supposed to be serious. So I believe he'll be back for next week. That makes Damian Williams an obvious target on the waiver wire. That is probably the number one priority at the running back position because he's going to take almost every single play there. Unless he's limited, then Khalil Herbert, who I really, really like, college running back. He was like a 6th-round pick or some shit. He is a player that I really like, but he's not going to get his chance unless both David Montgomery and Damian Williams are out. So Damian Williams is the target on the waiver wire this week, but I don't expect David Montgomery really to miss too much time because I don't believe it's going to be serious. Justin Fields, much better day this time around than what we saw out of him last week. But if Andy Dalton's back, I do expect them to put Andy Dalton back into the starting lineup, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see on that. Allen Robinson is pretty much unplayable at this point. So that's fucking that. On the Detroit side of the ball, Jamal Williams overtakes DeAndre Swift's honestly been fucking miserable on the ground. He has like really not been good. So them saying that they're going to give him more touches, like they shouldn't give him more touches on the ground because he hasn't been good at all. And he continues to see 6, 7, 8 targets a game. So I feel like what they're giving him is exactly what he should be getting. And you're going to get games like this where he doesn't score a touchdown, and he doesn't catch 9 balls. God for fucking bid, a running back doesn't catch 9 balls in a game. I'm not worried about DeAndre Swift. He's going to continue to see 6, 7, 8 targets a game. You can continue to not trot out any Detroit pass catchers outside of TJ Hawkinson. Panthers-Cowboys, really interesting game here. Sam Darnold continues to just blow the fucking lights out of stadiums here. Him and DJ Moore are just clicking on every cylinder. You keep trotting those two guys out. Robbie Anderson, you sell his ass right now if you can. I don't know how anybody can think of him as like I saw a few places, brands, podcasts talking about Robbie Anderson as a buy low. I don't know how you could possibly watch him, this team, this offense, Sam Darnold run his offense and consider Robbie Anderson someone that you want on your fucking fantasy team. If you could sell him off of the 11 targets, please do so. The only reason he got those targets was because Christian McCaffrey is out of the game. So you keep trotting out DJ Moore and Sam Darnold together. And on the running back side of things, not a good showing here. Chuba Hubbard, 13 carries, 57 yards, was fine on the ground. The problem was Rodney Smith took 5 targets, caught all 5 of them for 48 yards. Those are the ones that you needed Chuba Hubbard to get. Even if they were in garbage time or if they were in the 2-minute drill or whatever, you thought Chuba was going to get them. He did not. So this provides him with a really, really, really shaky fantasy outlook next week. And they go against, I forgot to use a little clicker on my mouse. They go against the Eagles, which are not really a front seven to be too weary about, but I don't know if you could really start Chuba Hubbard as anything. I think I could start Chuba Hubbard as a flex play, but I'm not too confident in him. I'd imagine he would probably rank in like the RB 22 to 25 range next week, assuming Christian McCaffrey, of course, is out. So that backfield might be one to avoid. I do think he obviously would have had a better game if Sam Darnold wasn't so involved on the ground near the red zone. But again, he like took a couple plays that were outside of the 10-yard line in for a touchdown. So like, it wasn't really like he vultured Chuba Hubbard. It was more so like Sam Darnold doing his damn thing. Zeke went the fuck off. Dalton Schultz continues to be a problem in the passing game. He is another waiver wire target. Led the team in targets, and it wasn't even close. Wait, why did... Oh, CeeDee Lamb. Okay, there he was. I thought CeeDee Lamb didn't have a target. CeeDee Lamb had 5 targets, Amari Cooper 3, but Dalton Schultz, again, 8. Seems like he's got a really good chemistry with Dak Prescott, and he is just out-targeting Blake Jarwin by a very, very large margin. So Dalton Schultz is another waiver wire target that you probably want to be looking at if you are in a tight end premium league. Cooper and CD, you keep rolling them out, man. You just keep taking the highs with the lows here. I think bigger passing days are to come when Zeke is averaging 7 yards per carry and Tony Pollard's averaging 6.7 yards per carry. Like, of course, if you're the Dallas offense, you're just going to continue to roll on those guys. So there will be games like that, unfortunately, but Dak throwing for 4 touchdowns is pretty sexy. We have the Colts and the Dolphins, just an absolute shit show of a game. Carson Wentz somehow ends up with 2 touchdowns, but he didn't look good doing it. Jonathan Taylor, 16 for 103 and a tugger on the ground, not really involved in the passing side of things. Again, Nyheim Hines takes a backseat. I would not drop Nyheim Hines yet because I'm almost positive like you give Marlon Mack 10 carries because you're trying to showcase him for a trade. You know, you talked about how the reports came out he wanted to trade. They said they're willing to trade him, so they give him 10 carries to see what's what. Looks like nothing is what because Marlon Mack was terrible in this game. Hopefully that garners some trade interest, but I can't imagine them continuing to give him touches. I think Nyheim Hines will eventually get some more touches back into this offense. Michael Pittman, again, 8 targets, leads the team. I think you can continue to roll out Michael Pittman as a pretty uninspiring flex play. Let's look at their matchups coming up, but he continues to get a shitload of targets. His target share has got to be above like 30% at this point. They get the Ravens, not an easy matchup, but not necessarily a shutdown matchup. Then they get the Texans, the 49ers, the Titans, the Jets, the Jaguars. That is a beautiful slate. So if anything, we're buying low on Michael Pittman right now because that passing matchup, just 5-week span is going to be pretty fucking sexy for a guy like Michael Pittman. Nobody else you want to try it out on the Indianapolis Colts side of things. For Miami, brutal showing for Myles Gaskin. 2 carries, 3 yards. I mean, if only they told us in the preseason that it was going to be a committee. Oh, wait, they fucking did. Will Fuller breaks his finger. He is week to week. And Parker, Gesicki, and Jalen Waddle continue to be like terrible, sneaky flex plays. Parker continues to get it done, even though most of it is garbage time. Mike Gesicki continues to have really good rapport with Jacoby Brissett. So I think you can continue to roll him out as a low-end tight end 1. Jalen Waddle, bad game in this one, but he is someone who is usually highly targeted on the Dolphins. And with Will Fuller out, I like how they have William Fuller the 5th. Just got real fucking fancy real quick. Sorry. It's got a funny text. No, I won't fucking share it with the class. Yeah, so Parker, like, I'm not confident at all throwing Parker or Waddle in there, but like I really, if you're desperate and you have 2 flex plays and you need somebody in there, PPR, Bucks are a tough matchup, obviously, but they're not a great matchup against, they're not that tough of a matchup against receivers. Obviously, a lot of passing volume comes on the Buccaneers, and they just did lose Carlton Davis, so that's another hit to their secondary there. So I'd imagine the Dolphins are going to have to throw the ball like 40 times a game against them next week. So Parker and Waddle, you definitely could do worse. Gesicki, you could do worse. And they play the Jaguars and the Falcons. So a nice little slate there. You might want to hop on that Parker, Waddle, Gesicki little trio, little trifecta there. So you can't trust anybody else in this fucking game. You're definitely not picking up Malcolm Brown. Let's go to Underdog. Let's look at some over-unders for tonight's game. If you are not signed up on Underdog yet, underdogfantasy.com, if you deposit $10, you are going to get $10 on top of that if you use the promo code BDGE. All right. So the link to download the app, because they got a beautiful app as well for your mobile, in the description. Use promo code BDGE. When you deposit $10, you're going to have $20 into your account to play with. So we've got Derek Carr. It is the Vegas Raiders at the Chargers tonight. Should be a really fucking fun game to play or watch. Derek Carr, we're going over a half a reception. I think he throws a little picky pick. They're going to throw the ball a lot, and I think one of those plays is going to lead to an interception. Josh Jacobs, who knows if he's fucking playing? They don't have any of the running backs on the slate here. Hunter Renfrow, 51.5 receiving yards. I kind of like the over there. Darren Waller, 71.5. Herbert. What do you guys like here on these over-unders here out of these plays? It's so enticing to just be like over, fucking over. But it's really dumb to do that. So I'm not going to do that. I think I like the over on Mike Williams just straight up over 78.5 yards. And if you throw $10 on you just need to do two pick'ems. You throw 10, you're going to 3x your money. You want to throw 20 because if you use promo code BDGE, when you deposit 10, you're going to have 20 in your account and you can make 60 off of it. So those are my picks. I think over 0.5 interceptions. I think Derek Carr throws a pick, and I like Mike Williams over 78.5 receiving yards in this sexy matchup. All right, let's go back to the slates. Boom, right click. Little mousy click. Clicky. Mousy mouser. Yeah. Browns versus Vikings, awful. I'm willing to chuck this one out. Baker Mayfield looked horrible. He left about 30 fantasy points on the board for Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham should have had probably 5 for 150 and 2 touchdowns in this one. So if you own Odell Beckham Jr., you're putting him back into your lineup next week, okay? Put him back into your flex spot because he deserved better. Not a guy I was drafting, but he deserved a lot better in this game. Baker just didn't give it to him. Baker's usually a much more accurate quarterback. Baker's usually Kirk didn't fucking give you anything in this one either. You can continue to roll out Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, obviously. Kirk Cousins started off absolutely on fire. Justin Jefferson continues to do his fucking thing. And you continue to put him in there. Adam Thielen's okay. It's whatever at this point. Dalvin Cook. So he clearly less than 100%. Clearly less than 100%. Gave way to Alexander Mattison getting 10 carries. And good news here is Madison didn't get any work in the passing game. Dalvin Cook did get 6 targets. So that's kind of sexy. But clearly less than 100%. Better days are ahead for Mr. Dalvin Cook. You put him back into your lineup next week. He was kind of in and out of the game, but they get the Lions next week, which should be, the bounce back game that we're all hoping for Dalvin Cook. The reason you drafted him top 3 is for what he should do for us next week against the Lions. So no real takeaways from that game. Giants Saints, Daniel Jones, bro. Let's go. Saquon is bike. And as we projected with both Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard out, you could roll Kadarius Toney out there. Saquon Barkley should see an uptick in passing game. That's exactly what happened. So Daniel Jones looked fantastic in this one. I feel a lot more confident now putting Kenny Golladay into my lineup as a flex play. And that's really it. Kadarius Toney, I think you could probably roll out again as a flex play if Sterling Shepard misses time. Does beg the question, though, when Shepard gets back, what happens to Kadarius Toney? Do they put Shepard on the outside and just let Slayton rot away on the bench and then let Toney run routes in the slot? Because Toney looked great yesterday. So I think you keep an explosive playmaker like that on the field. Really liked how that offense looked. Some optimism going forward. On the Saints side of things, man, Alvin Kamara has just turned into a thump god. 26 carries, 120 yards. Didn't get any goal line work because Taysom Hill kept going in there and scoring 2 touchdowns on the ground, which is a concern. Absolutely concern. Jameis Winston kind of stinks. Can't roll out any pass catchers. Alvin Kamara somehow did not have a single target. I don't know what they're doing in practice if they think a good game plan is to not get Alvin Kamara involved, but he's going to continue to see 25 to 30 touches because Tony Jones is now hurt. Have to think that Alvin Kamara gets his way back involved into the passing game. But for right now, man, this was one of our concerns in the preseason, that this offense was just going to stink and Taysom Hill was going to get involved in the goal line. And we did see it happen. This kind of felt like worst case scenario, which, 26 for 120, brighter days ahead. Titans versus thy Jets, man. Who knew Ryan Tannehill needed Corey Davis to be unlocked in the passing game? Monster day from Derrick Henry, as expected, against the Jets. Literally nothing to take away from the passing game here. I'm not trying to get cute and tell you to pick up anybody on the Titans side of the offense here. So hopefully they get A.J. Brown and or Julio Jones back next week, and we can have a little bit more confidence when it comes to Ryan Tannehill. So, I mean, realistically, 300 passing yards, a passing touchdown, 10 rushing yards is not like terrible. He didn't kill your week, but just absolutely no upside without A.J. Brown or Julio Jones making big plays down the field. On the Jets side of things, I was really, really high on Corey Davis going into the week, and I feel good about walking away from what we saw. 4 for 111 and a touchdown. Zach Wilson's going to have his terrible games as always, but when he has his good games, Corey Davis is going to prosper in this offense. Michael Carter took over as the RB1 in this offense. Luckily got in for the rushing score, the only rushing score that they had, but that's the problem. If he doesn't have the rushing score, they're going to be terrible. And I don't expect them to have a lot of goal line opportunities for Michael Carter. So, again, he's a really desperate flex play. Jameson Crowder did have his first game back, which he performed well in. 9 targets, actually led the team in targets, 7 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. I kind of like Crowder. We'll have to see what happens when Elijah Moore returns from his concussion. I think they will probably use Elijah Moore on the outside, but I like the fact that Crowder's probably going to be a slot guy, and I think he will probably be a safety blanket for Zach Wilson. So I'm not it's almost like a poor man's Cole Beasley, to be honest. The ceiling's lower, but the involvement's going to be there on an inconsistent basis. So if you want some wide receiver depth, I am not mad about picking up a guy like Jameson Crowder. Chiefs versus Eagles. This was just a fucking slang fest. Put the dick on the table and let the Eagles do whatever they want with it there. Nice to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire go over 100 yards again on the ground, but it was not nice to see Darrell Williams be as involved as he was, getting goal line work, 10 carries, 2 targets through the air. So Clyde, you continue to roll Clyde out as a flex play. And, if he continues to get lucky through the air and score touchdowns, so be it. But have a lot more confidence in Clyde now, obviously, with him playing really efficiently with this offense. I mean, this was an obvious bounce-back game for the Chiefs. They've had so many unlucky turnovers the last few weeks. And Tyreek Hill just goes absolutely fucking bananas at the expense of Travis Kelce. But that's what's just going to happen in this offense. Sometimes Tyreek Hill's not going to eat, and Travis Kelce will sit at the barbecue table and eat every piece of food on the table, and then vice versa. So you just continue to roll those guys out, obviously. If you own Clyde, you want to pick up Darrell Williams because he is the clear handcuff right now. And if something were to happen to him, Darrell Williams can move right into an 18-touch, really valuable role in this backfield. On the Eagles side of things, just a masterful performance statistically for Jalen Hurts. He went absolutely off, 387 yards, 2 touchdowns, passing 47 more yards on the ground. Kenny Gainwell getting uncomfortably too much play time. If you're a Miles Sanders, at this point, I don't even know if you could roll out Miles Sanders as a flex. Looks terrible in terms of their passing, in terms of their offensive, just play calling and what they're doing with him in terms of the involvement. So Sanders is probably going to be in that running back 25 to 30 range ranking wise, and a lot of teams just can't use a guy like that. So that being said, it's going to be hard to trust Kenneth Gainwell in lineups either. So it's just it's kind of a situation you just got to sit on, man. It's really unfortunate, but can't throw him into your lineup. Devontae Smith did his thing, 7 for 122. So he's clearly the wide receiver 1 there. He's going to have his inconsistent weeks, but I think he's certainly a flex play in good matchups. And the Chiefs were obviously a good matchup because they were going to have to score a ton of points, and the Eagles were going to have to try to stay with them a little bit. Good to see a decent game out of Dallas Goedert, though. Not something I could really, not something that you could really depend on week over week, though. So let's see. Let's move on down. How many fucking games were played in the NFL this week, huh? A lot of them. A lot of games played. I low-key love bye weeks. As someone who makes content around fantasy football, bye weeks are kind of a fucking godsend. Let's see. Boom. 5 more games. 5 or 6. Okay. Cardinals versus Rams. Kyler Murray, still pretty good at football. James Conner, 18 carries, taking all the goal line work. This is exactly what we kind of know is the case for Chase Edmonds at this point. He did break away that 54-yard run, which was sexy to see, but most people probably didn't have him in their lineups unless that was just me being a fucking asshole. I took him out of my lineup because it was a tough matchup. Did break away the big play, but otherwise he gave you pretty much what he does every week, somewhere between 10 and 14 fantasy points, and that's just what you're going to get. He is a decent flex play. He's going to be a great bye week fill-in if you need him, but like there's just no upside because he doesn't score touchdowns. He might literally end with 0 touchdowns on the year. James Conner continues to get the goal line work. I don't know, dude. Like he actually looked pretty good. He looked pretty good, and I guess you can roll him out as a flex play. What's their schedule? I mean, they're 4-0, so they're going to continue fucking slanging games around and winning a bunch of games. So 49ers, I mean, 49ers, Browns, not necessarily games you expect them to just like dominate the flow. I mean, between Kyler and Trey Lance, those two quarterbacks might score 255 fantasy points next week. But once it gets to like the Texans, James Conner's gonna be a good play, but like it's really hard to rely on the goal line work. But I don't know. He might end up scoring 10 touchdowns this year, so I guess he could be a flex play. The wide receiver side of things, man, this is one of those situations. It's kind of tough to. Sorry, let me get some water. My throat feeling like the fucking Sahara. AJ Green looks great. And I don't know why, but I was kind of all in on him during the summer too. I have a lot of best ball shares of AJ Green. I think Green you continue to roll out as a flex play. I think Kirk, despite the really shitty game, these are going to happen, right? You're gonna pick and choose between Kirk and AJ Green, who has a good game, who has a bad game. DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, I guess it's a little bit worrisome at this point, but like, what are you gonna do? Fucking sit DeAndre Hopkins? He got a lot of Jalen Ramsey in this game, so better matchups ahead, better days ahead for DeAndre Hopkins. It's like kind of like the Stephon Diggs situation with Josh Allen. Like you drafted him in the second round. There's no fall off in terms of his involvement. He's just not coming together. The big plays aren't really happening. And they're spreading the ball around. So it's like at this point, you just have pieces of a really high, sexy, high-flying offense. And, put Green, put Kirk into your flex, put Edmonds into your flex, put James Conner. You got fucking just throw everybody into your flex. Go with an all-Arizona team, and you'll probably be good more often than not. On the flip side of things, Darrell Henderson, bell cow, workhorse. In the Q&A on Saturday, I said I really didn't have any concerns going into the week, and he took that role right back over. So continue to fire up Darrell Henderson as a high-end RB2, if not an RB1, honestly, based on the volume. On the passing side of things, just a bad day for Matthew Stafford. Robert Woods luckily gets in to the end zone, but, man, just not an encouraging day for Robert Woods against a Cardinals team that put up 37 on them, and they should have seen some bigger days from Robert Woods in this passing offense. Just didn't happen. So, Kupp, you continue to roll out as a wide receiver 1. Woods, you continue to, I don't know. At this point, I'm not flexing him unless it's a good lineup, unless it's a good matchup like we saw against the Cardinals. So if we look ahead at their schedule, Seattle, he could be a flex play, but Seattle's just actually, we'll talk about Seattle in the next matchup. But yeah, Robert Woods is not really inspiring, man. Not really inspiring. Oh, Max Williams is the other tight end pickup that we really need to keep an eye on. I think he's caught 5 passes in 3 of their 4 games. So he has become a really big part of this offense, and he's being productive. He's catching a lot of passes. Like Max Williams looked pretty good, man. Looked pretty good. Another guy to target on the waiver wire. Seattle versus the 49ers, man. I tweeted this out today. It's an absolute shit show. If you're not following me on Twitter, make sure you do so at Nick Ercolano. That is my name. Good sirs and sirettes. What did I tweet out? So the top 5 offenses in plays per game. Tennessee, Las Vegas. Tennessee's boosted up because they literally ran a fucking 100 plays on Sunday. Tennessee, Las Vegas, Buffalo, Carolina, Minnesota. Bottom 5 offenses in plays per game. Seattle, dead last, running 52.8 plays per game. That is a fucking sieve. That is an absolute criminal number for them to be at right now. All we heard all offseason was that it was going to be fast pace. Things were looking up, more passing, more plays. It's just not what we're seeing. Russell Wilson, 23 attempts. Chris Carson, yes, a little bit worrisome. Alex Collins looked good. And he got some run with the first stringers for sure. Got that great fucking run in, 14-yard touchdown run. Chris Carson not really involved in the passing game either. So, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Carson. He's still definitely the starter, and I would like to have hope that Seattle switches their offense up. But like anytime they do something like this where they throw the ball fucking 23 times and end up winning the game, Pete Carroll's like, yes, like less, even fewer next week. Like how few pass attempts can we have and still win a game, which is what I feel like is happening here. So on the receiving side of things, it's like DK Metcalf, continue to roll him out. Obviously, Tyler Lockett, again, you just take the good with the bad, man. When you draft him, you got to know these days are coming, man. When you have a guy like DK Metcalf opposite you, like you're going to have game. It's like Tyreek Hill light, man. It's like Tyreek Hill light, where you're going to have games where you go 6 for 180 and 2. But you're also going to have games where you score fucking 5 fantasy points. So he's like a less version of Tyreek Hill, but you can't afford to miss on the games that they hit in your lineup. So like you just continue to roll out Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Alex Collins, probably someone you should maybe target on the waiver wire if like you're really bare on the depth side of things when it comes to running backs. Not excited about it, and it might, he might be one of those guys where like you pick him up this week, he gets 3 carries next week, and then you want to drop him. But I feel like if you're in a 14-team league or you're desperate, or you have a guy that just absolutely fucking stinks like Mohamed Sanu on your bench, and you could use the swap effect, and yeah, Alex Collins is fine. Jimmy G pulls his calf. Going to be out a couple weeks. This opens up the gates for Mr. Trey Lance. I don't give a fuck what Trey Lance's completion percentage is. I don't care that his QBR was 39.4. This man played a half of football and put up 18.5 fantasy points. Let me repeat that. Trey Lance played a half of football and put up 18.5 fantasy points. 9 for 18, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 for 41 on the ground. Okay? I don't care how sloppy it is. I don't care how much yak comes after. I don't care how many incomplete passes he throws. This man, it's just, when you see it every single time, it's not just a coincidence. It is a trend. This man is just a big playmaker. It's just what happens. This guy is going to fucking go nuts against the Cardinals next week. Is he the starter for the rest of the year? Remains to be seen. Okay, so they have their week 5 game against the Cardinals. Trey Lance, I expect to pop the fuck off, statistically speaking. Then they have their bye. So with Jimmy G, there is a chance that after the bye, they put Jimmy G back into the lineup against the Colts. I really want to say I don't see that happening. If they could somehow upset the Cardinals next week, I don't see a chance that Trey Lance does not secure the job for the rest of the season. They might do that thing where like Jimmy G is 95% healthy, but they're just like, no, we're going to keep him out until he's 100% healthy, and then he's our starter. Wait for Trey Lance to really, really struggle and then put him back in. But like Trey Lance, this is the moment we've all been fucking waiting for. This is the reason you drafted him, for next week. Literally for next week. It is the perfect storm. Arizona's going to put up 200 points. The 49ers are going to have to score 200 points to fucking keep up with him, and Trey Lance is going to go nuts. Speaking of the other Trey, good to see Trey Sermon, 19 for 89 on the ground, just absolutely zero involvement in the passing game, which was my concern going into the week. And Elijah Mitchell, I mean, I can't say he should be back next week. I really don't know. It's kept him out for a long time. So at this point, I expect if he does come back, it'll probably be some sort of a committee. But you can't really roll out anybody in the backfield for the 49ers. Debo is just absolutely on pace to just smash records right now. I believe someone tweeted out something that like his yardage total through the first 4 weeks is like top 20 all time amongst wide receivers. So he has another monster game. You continue to roll out Debo. His involvement's scary high. George Kittle, you continue to roll him out despite the shitty production numbers he is putting up. Brandon Ayuk, what do you do? Tough scene. What I'm doing, y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm going to continue to roster Brandon Ayuk with the hopes that him and Trey Lance have some sort of a connection. I know that was literally the opposite of what happened. I'm going to take a look at some snap counts right now for Brandon Ayuk and hope that he was still a full-time player. Something in me tells me he was not. He definitely did not nut yesterday. Something in me tells me that he was not a full-time player yesterday. and that we saw his snaps dwindle down. Bitch, you know what I want. Brandon Ayuk, still second on the team in terms of snap counts, but his snap rate did drop from 86 in week 3 to 67 in week 4. Things you don't hate to see for $100, please. So yeah, you can't try to out Brandon Ayuk with any sense of confidence. I am personally holding on to him though. What else we got? We've got Baltimore and Denver. Lamar looking great in the passing game. Healthy scratch for Tyson Williams. I don't know what the fuck. I have no idea what they're doing. Tyson Williams has looked by far and away the best back that they have in that backfield. Something's going on there. They don't trust him. And you could drop Tyson Williams because they basically fucking just dropped Tyson Williams from their roster. So drop Tyson Williams. Latavius Murray is clearly the back to own there. He had 18 carries, scored a touchdown. This team's going to be on the goal line semi-often. This was a tough matchup against the Denver Broncos, but they came away with the dub, and Latavius Murray got in for the touchdown. Marquise Brown, another big game. Continue to roll him out. Obviously, if Rashad Bateman is available on your waiver wire, now is the time to pick him up. I can't wait to see what this passing offense looks like with Mr. Rashad Goatman in the lineup. Even with Rashad Bateman back, you continue to roll Hollywood Brown out because the chemistry between those two has been fantastic, and he continues to perform like a high-level fantasy prospect. So not much on the Baltimore side of things. Denver Broncos, Teddy Bridgewater concussed, got that conk. Drew Lock came in, looked like Drew Lock. If Drew Lock is the starter, if Teddy Bridgewater can't go next week, they play against the Steelers. So not exactly a great matchup. I'd imagine they're going to be blitzing the shit out of Drew Lock, and I imagine a lot of erratic passes. Whatever the over-under is for Drew Lock's interception total for next week, we take the over. I can't have confidence in really any of the pass catchers here. I think you continue to roll out Noah Fant, though, obviously, as a starting tight end, because he has had just such high involvement numbers week in and week out. He's scoring. He's making plays. So obviously Noah Fant remains in your lineup, but like, I guess you could throw out Cortland Sutton while Jerry Jeudy is still out, but it's really hard to have any confidence with any of these players if Drew Lock is under center. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams continue to literally put up the exact same stat line week in. It's actually pretty impressive. They do the same thing every single week. You just have to hope for a touchdown. They're like decent, okay flex plays. If they score a touchdown, they're going to be putting up 14 to 15 points for you. If not, they're going to put up 7 to 8 to 9 fantasy points for you. You literally, I can't give you any advice that you don't know exactly what's already fucking happening here. What else do we got? We got the Steelers versus the Packers. Ben Roethlisberger is just continuing to be an embarrassment to the Pittsburgh franchise. He's just the fucking Matt Ryan of the Central United States. Najee Harris continues to get a zillion touches, and you continue to roll him out as an RB1. Deontay Johnson, he's an every week starter for you, obviously, in fantasy. Juju Smith-Schuster, honestly, Juju's probably droppable for me. I don't care that he got 8 targets. He just stinks, and this passing offense stinks. If Chase Claypool does come back, I really don't have a lot of confidence in playing him in my lineup. He would be a desperate flex play on the Packers side of things. So MVS is on the here's what I'll say. Like A.J. Dillon, most of A.J. Dillon's run came in the second half. I'm not really worried about that split between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, both of them seeing 15 carries apiece. What I think was really noticeable was with MVS on the IR, Randall Cobb played a really big role. Devontae Adams had 11 targets. Robert Tonyan had 7 empty targets. I can't believe there were people telling you to draft Robert Tonyan this offseason. And then Randall Cobb had 6 targets. A lot of them in the red zone, very involved down there. So Randall Cobb, I think, is a pretty good waiver wire target this week because MVS is going to miss time. And we know that Rodgers and Cobb obviously have chemistry. So think of Randall Cobb like Jameson Crowder or Cole Beasley. I'm sure next week he'll go like 4 for 32, but there will be big games ahead probably. Tampa Bay versus New England. The game of the fucking century was terrible. Tom Brady, just an off night. You know, that shit happens, and I don't expect that to be the case going forward. Leonard Fournette, 20 carries for 91 yards, adds 3 for 47 on targets from Tom Brady. So this was kind of what we thought was going to happen. He was going to get a lot of involvement. He has kind of become the starter, but as soon as Gio is back in this lineup, I expect that his passing involvement is going to go straight back down. But he is the but he is the early down runner. Then we saw Ronald Jones get the carry from the 8-yard line. So again, it's just like a backfield that you, despite them being a really good offense, despite them being a high-powered team, like you really can't have too much confidence in any guy back here. Obviously, you're not playing Ronald Jones. You could throw Leonard Fournette into the flex spot and hope that he scores a touchdown. They do play the Dolphins, then the Eagles. So those are two games that the Buccaneers should win and put up, a good amount of points. But you can't have too much confidence. You continue to roll out Mike Evans. Antonio Brown should have a monster day. He had a really, really big catch called back because of some stupid fucking penalty. You continue to roll out Godwin, obviously. We'll see what happens with Gronk. He might be out for multiple weeks. On the Patriots side of things, oh, man, the rushing. Better days ahead for Damian Harris. Here's what I'll say. Damian Harris, I think Damian Harris is a buy low. Got a little bit involved in the passing game, 2 for 30. Horrible on the ground, of course, but, guys, it's the fucking Buccaneers. Do you think Uncle Bill's game plan is going to be to try to beat the Buccaneers on the ground? Obviously not. Damian Harris wasn't good, but 4 carries. Listen, Nelson Aguilar had 1 carry. Brandon Bolden had 1 carry. J.J. Taylor had 1 fucking carry. That's what we're going to get against the Buccaneers. Damian Harris played 60% of the snaps, though. Damian Harris played 60% of the snaps. Again, was semi-involved on the passing side of things. The Patriots play against the Texans next week, Cowboys, and the Jets. So I think Damian Harris is a buy low candidate for sure. And I think you could throw him into your lineup immediately next week against the Texans for sure. That's going to be a beautiful game script for them. The other side of the thing, the other thing in this backfield is J.J. Taylor fumbles. And then he's basically probably going to be on the bench for the next decade or so for the Patriots. Brandon Bolden took over the James White role. 6 targets, caught all 6 of them for 51 yards. So if you're in a PPR league and you were wondering what running back to target, it seems like Brandon Bolden is going to be the play. Jacoby Myers continues to be a rock-solid wide receiver 3 in PPR leagues. Another 12 fucking targets, 8 catches, 70 yards. How many targets does dude have on the fucking year so far? I got to see this. Dude has 41 targets on the year. He's averaging over 10 targets a game. That's fucking insane. Guy can't sniff the end zone. And that about wraps up the games, I believe. How we doing out here? How's the chat going? How's the comments going? Anything I missed big time? Not me, bro. Couldn't be me. All right, yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to put if anyone wants to, I should have told y'all to timestamp this at the beginning of the video. Fuck. All right, well, timestamps are a little late, but if anyone wants to put timestamps, you'd be a fucking legend again for this 4th week in a row. I would love that for me and for you and for everybody that's watching afterwards. That's my basic recap of week 4 and some waiver wire targets for week 5. We talked about all the injuries. So if you're joining afterwards, obviously we talked about probably most of the shit that you're asking about in the comment section right now. We have a lot of takeaways from the video in terms of selfish fucking money-making, finger grubbing revenue streams right now. Number 1, text this number with the word jersey for a chance to win a signed Honus Wagner baseball card. Legit signed. You could sell for about $200 million tomorrow night at the Christie's auction. Go check out Underdog, of course, underdogfantasy.com. Play some over-under games. When you deposit and use promo code BDGE, they're going to match your $10 deposit, and they're going to give you $20 in your account. It's beautiful, okay? And if you want my rankings, if you want our in-depth fab guidance waiver wire article, you can find that on bdge.store/community. Those rankings for week 5 will be out Thursday around noon Eastern time. Thank you all for joining me today. We will be back tomorrow with some waiver wire fodder. Love y'all. I'm out. Goodbye.